3I Atlas is gone, left the solar system for good. What actually was it? And why has everyone been talking about it for almost a year? So, this photo, taken July 1st, 2025. Doesn't look like much, right? Just a dot. But this is the one that kicked off 11 months of, honestly, kind of a mess. The comet left the solar system a few weeks ago, and somewhere in those 11 months, the story split into two completely different versions. One of them got really loud. The other one barely got covered at all. Guess which one we're going to talk about. But before we start, take a look at this. This is the real trajectory, the actual path it took through our solar system. Hey guys, welcome back to Null Signal. I'm Russell, and today we're closing this subject once and for all. Okay, basics first. There's this telescope in Chile, Atlas. It's automated. It just scans the sky every night looking for stuff that moves. On July 1st, it found something. A little speck of light, inside Jupiter's orbit, moving. Fast. Too fast, actually, for anything that belongs to our solar system. And within a few days, they confirmed it. Yeah, this came from outside. Third interstellar object we've ever caught. Oumuamua was the first, back in 2017. Borisov in 2019. This one's the third. Hubble got a look at it in August. And here's the thing. They couldn't pin down the size. Somewhere between 440 meters and 5.6 kilometers. That's a huge range. Like, that's not we're being precise. That's we genuinely don't know yet. And it stayed that uncertain for months. So a few weeks in, this Harvard guy, Avi Loeb, puts out a paper. And he's not saying this is aliens. He's saying, hey, here's some stuff that's a little weird. Its orbit lines up real close with Earth's plane. It's bigger than comets usually are. And it's gonna pass near Venus, Jupiter, Mars, all of them. On their own? Coincidences, probably. But put together, he's like, worth asking about. And, this matters, his actual words were an interesting exercise, fun to pursue. That's it. That's not a conclusion. That's a guy thinking out loud. Yeah. It did not stay a quiet thought experiment for very long. Within like a day or two, this thing is everywhere online. And not the careful version, the loud version. The big one going around, that 3I/Atlas was gonna swing behind the sun on purpose. Like hiding. Some kind of maneuver. A cover-up, basically. Okay, so here's what actually happened. It passed into solar conjunction on October 21st, which just means the sun's glare blocked our view for a bit. That's not a conspiracy, that's just geometry. Happens to comets all the time. By the 25th, it was visible again, right near Spica and Venus. You could have found it with a 6-inch telescope. Nobody hid anything. And NASA actually said this publicly, twice, before the close pass and after. So yeah, the cover-up story kind of fell apart the moment you checked the dates. Then, mid-October, after it swings past the sun and everything matches the predictions, a second wave starts. This time, it's sudden course change, another cover-up claim. Which is strange because nothing had actually changed. NASA's Planetary Defense Office addressed it directly on October 25th. The trajectory was exactly where they expected it to be. Honestly, the pattern's almost funny in a sad way. New data drops, new claims spread, and the fact check always shows up a few days too late to stop it from going viral. While all that noise was happening, though, there was something genuinely strange going on in the actual data. Nobody was really talking about it. Between May and September, scientists pulled together over 4,000 observations from 200+ observatories, and the object barely deviated from a pure gravity path. For a comet that's losing mass, outgassing, shedding ice, that's odd. It basically means this thing is heavier than it should be. We're talking over 33 billion tons. Now, that's not evidence of anything artificial, to be clear. It just means the simple, it's a normal comet model doesn't fully explain it. After it passed the sun, a small acceleration finally did show up. Tiny though, like 10 Earth radii of drift over a whole month. Not enough to send it anywhere different, just gas escaping unevenly. Comets do that. Here's something almost nobody covered. For months, literally months, scientists couldn't agree on how big this thing actually was. One team said under 2.8 kilometers. Another said it could be as small as 160 meters. Hubble's estimate went all the way up to 5.6, which is, that's a massive spread. By early 2026, they finally nailed it down using Hubble data directly. 1.3 kilometers, give or take 200 meters. And look, that disagreement wasn't some scandal or cover-up either. It was just hard. You're trying to measure something 18 billion kilometers away. Of course the early numbers were messy. If this thing were actually a spacecraft, you'd expect something, a transmission. So 2 different observatories checked, 7.25 hours of radio listening in July. Then in December, an even more sensitive check, down to 1/10 of a watt. Nothing, no signal, artificial or otherwise. Which, silence doesn't prove it's not something, but it sure doesn't help the spacecraft theory either. NASA's planetary defense officer, a guy named Tom Statler, basically summed up the agency's whole position in 5 words. It looks like a comet. That's it. Behaving exactly the way you'd expect a comet to behave. And they said that more than once. And even Loeb, the guy whose paper kicked all this off, he never actually said it was a spacecraft. His own words were, most likely a normal comet. Funny how the headlines grabbed his question and just skipped his answer. Now, not everything wrapped up neatly. Some stuff's genuinely still open, and not because of conspiracy, just because the science isn't finished. In May 2026, a team at University of Michigan checked the water's chemical signature, and it didn't match anything from our solar system, not even close. That part's measured, confirmed. What it actually means, though, still being figured out. Then in June, James Webb found methane on it, which is strange because methane really shouldn't survive 14 billion years of cosmic radiation hitting it. There's 3 theories floating around for why it's still there, none of them confirmed. And the comet's already gone, so we might just never know. Oh, and there's this wobble, a jet on the surface that swings back to the same spot every 7 hours and 45 minutes, which suggests this isn't even one solid object. Could be a loose pile of fragments. Nobody's published what it actually used to be, before whatever happened to it happened. So, 11 months. Let's just lay it out. What's confirmed? It's from outside our solar system, no question. No signal detected at any sensitivity they could test. NASA directly confirmed it behaves like a comet. And the water, the methane, that chemical weirdness is real and measured. What got debunked, the deliberate hiding behind the sun thing, the sudden course change in October, any version where it was actually headed toward Earth. What's still open, its exact size, honestly, even now, why that methane survived, and what this thing actually was before it broke apart into whatever it is now. It's gone now, past Saturn, heading out toward the edge of everything we'd call home. Whatever the full story was, we just ran out of time to finish reading it. The loudest claims about this thing? Mostly wrong. The quiet, boring data? That's the part that was actually strange. If you want more of this, subscribe. The next signal's already on its way.